Hello, everyone! Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Data Brief Woohoo Party! Wow, that was quite an intro. Anyway, hello, all you wonderful people. I have no idea if anybody's even going to watch this or not, but I think we get one or two views. I get my uncle back east. He's euchred into watching these videos, whether he likes it or not. So we get one upvote, so that's good. We're working our way through this very tumultuous time in our society. If anything, probably, good old Bitcoin right now is an excellent sort of just anecdote on the stress of what's going on with humans. If anything, I'm seeing a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. Things like political situations seem to be slowly resolving themselves. I don't know, Kevin, can you see if the YouTube page is actually doing its thing? I'm not sure if it is or not. Let's see. Themselves. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay. I'm taking Thursdays off of late. I don't know whether that's of help for you guys or not, but Julian had a great baby powder report yesterday. And even then, I couldn't even keep quiet. I kept chiming in to the point where they were like, "Go away, Brian. Jesus Christ, you talk too much." So today is Friday, TGIF, end of the week, options expiry, always fun around the market. Should be a bit of a calmer day with the options expiry. Did a fairly lengthy rant for the good people here this morning on the site, and as well we had an awesome report put together by the folks down under. Johnny Salmon had his Down Under report today, so good people got an excellent view of John figures he has ADD, schizophrenia. I think he said to throw some autism in there, so as a result he's following everything in the market. And he's got algos, 20 different algos all running simultaneously, and now he said he's thinking about getting into the share markets down in Australia. So anyway, it was a great report, and I think the site members got good value out of that. As the image on the screen suggests, I think we're kind of at a little bit of a crossroads here with the market. I've suggested of late, if you're thinking about the stock market, are you trading a market of stocks or the stock market? If you look at the individual stocks, man, there's some really good-looking little ideas out there, just jumping all over the place. Even the metals markets are starting to look a little more attractive. Things like gold plays. A lot of our VCIM names are starting to perk up. Did actually a bit of buying in one VCIM name recently, so I am in there on the buy side. Coming out of this political event, I think the biggest worry was the political situation now in the States going to dramatically shift to the left, and maybe we were in for a big backlash of against capitalism here. It does happen in societies. I mean, if anything, you might argue the way that they've sort of fakasied their way through this fear cycle, the populace wasn't as receptive to massive socialist swing in politics. So the capitalists probably, to a certain degree, right now are going, "Phew! Thank goodness, dodged a bullet there." What drives stock prices? Earnings and interest rates. Basically, yesterday was a Fed announcement day. They said, "Hey, we're not stepping in front of this market." No change to short-term interest rate policy. And actually, I was really surprised to see that mortgage rates down in the United States ticked lower again. So that should probably bring more buyers back into the housing market. And interesting, too, how the market isn't even really responding. We had an employment report today out of the States. Employment numbers are still very robust. So even with this recent ramping up of COVID and sicknesses, they're not prepared to like shut the economy down kind of thing in North America just yet. This might actually be an opportunity for North America to play catch up a little bit to the rest of the world. Also, too, I'm fascinated by the way that mysteriously China seems to have solved the COVID mystery. And how they're reporting their economic data like everything's business as usual. We're not being affected by COVID anymore. I find that it's either highly suspicious or, gee whiz, that's something worth paying attention to. Anyway, we'll see what happens. And of course, tinfoil hats. Everybody's going to say this whole thing was engineered to have you-know-who taken out of the executive down in the States. But I don't know. It's a crazy world. As for the markets themselves, and are we risking money? Are we putting money to work here in the market? I always like to just try and limit the conversation to this kind of screen with you guys. If I happen to have a stock that pops off a double, okay, well, fine, I'll let you know. But on balance, this should just generally be just basic market commentary. Did have to spend, and I thought I did it sort of half as people were asking me questions, and I even saw on like social media and stuff, people are going, you told me to wait not to invest in, now Bitcoin's $1,000 higher. Unfollow, unsubscribe, right? Which I fully expect. But at the same time, too, do we want to be barstool investors? That's up to you. You can be a barstool investor if you want to. My general message out of this market right now is I think we're still sort of got to figure out who the hell's driving the bus out of the States right now. Interesting how they've knocked the US dollar down, but basically back down to the bottom end of its range. And interestingly enough, when you look at this US dollar, there were actually some funny little price gaps. I don't know if we can see it on this. Well, maybe they're filled in. I know there was a big gap right there that I wanted to see filled in. I thought there were some gaps down here, but it doesn't look like it, Anyway, you can see here we are at 88.6 of the range. So I suppose if Kavarkinators were going to Kavark here, this is probably a Kavark. What do you think, Kavark? Kavark actually went in and grabbed some calls on this thing, son of a bitch. Sold his calls up here for 50% return. Probably not a bad idea to maybe think about going and buying those calls back. Yeah, well, there you go. So Kavark's already chiming in here. So, I mean, I don't know what I'm even thinking in the short term. I suppose we should probably be doing things like AB, CDs. Maybe we have to see some more exploration down around these lows, but we're getting awfully close to that area. Nothing really for me to do. In fact, I was thinking about going and buying some of my stock market insurance policy put kind of ideas out into the new year. I'm probably looking at June options now. I'm close, but I don't know. I am... on this site, crazy Bitcoin ETFs. Man, they hit that target perfectly. Oh, bastards. Hate when I see that, and I'm not in the trade. I got totally euchred out of this trade here. Drive me nuts. But anyway, I sold on this move here, so I can't complain. But that's another conversation for another day. I wanted to see... maybe it was off of this. No. Anyway. Now I'm totally getting off topic. What am I supposed to be talking about here today? Mention Kavark and Brian gets all starry-eyed. So, a nice test against these lows. I'll be watching. Oh, yeah, I was talking about the bear ETFs in the stock market. Actually, it's probably not a bad dovetail. So, if we're thinking about maybe getting more bullish of the US dollar as we're testing these lows down at the bottom here of the range, then it would, and that's a risk off vote, US dollar goes up, then it would make sense that we maybe think about shorting risk assets, things like stock market. And what I see here is pretty cliche. You know, this is, in fact, I have this chart up on another screen. This is reload zones within reload zones. But I just, you know, as I was telling people on the site, you know, what I want to see is I want to see some sort of signs of failure here. So we've got, you know, there's our reload zone, 61.8 to 78.6, 61.8 to 78.6. So we got a location. Now we're getting like 88.6 is Kavarkanator levels, that kind of thing. It's the exact reverse conversation on the US dollar index. Does this thing roll over and start to head back down? So should that happen, then actually I'll have a justification to go add to those insurance policies. So watching this very closely. And right now, this thing could break either way. It has not officially smiled yet. So we're still sort of stuck in the triangle. I don't know. I honestly don't know which way this thing's going to break. We are coming up to a celestial event window. It's interesting how I was sort of thinking, we've seen this before, where the market dumps ahead of the celestial event, then has this sort of counter trend rally into the event. And the most important thing for us to watch is how does it act on the other side? Do we go and W out and work our way higher, or do we M out and crap out? So that's also another sort of reason why I want to cool my jets here. You know, in essence, the next celestial event is next Friday. So I think over this coming week, we're going to get that sort of petering out kind of signal. The event happens, and then we'll take whichever direction we go coming out the other side. And frankly speaking, I just don't know which way that's going to break. No idea. I would just say on balance, is this really a great place for us to be getting uber bullish? Probably not. But like we saw on Bitcoin, remember I still think Bitcoin's a leading indicator. Now we got one low, we got two lows. Do we come in here and consolidate and then break higher, giving us a third low? That's exactly what we saw on Bitcoin. Remember, I got frozen out. Yeah, it sucks, but shit happens. Just missed a trade. Next trade in 10 minutes. We're seeing this on the gold. The gold is doing this right now. Do the stocks go and do this? Wouldn't surprise me. So, you know, I mean, this is, are you trading the stock market? If you're trading the stock market, I think you got to wait for the resolution of this EVU, or this was a Jupiter-Pluto Earth conjunct. Bang, bang, bang. And you can see, taking the resolution following the event, that's where I think the trade is. What I'm worried about is this maybe the opposite? We go phase ripping up, exact opposite to this, then we consolidate, and then we actually have to start trending down. I don't know. Like I said, the way that crypto's acting, I think this wants to move higher, but that's just purely opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. There's that gold bottom. Fascinating to see that W is now pretty solidified, so they're probably feeling pretty good. Interesting risk off, right? Now the gold's got the W working, and it's rocking and rolling. The Japanese yen, of course, has been ripping higher here for a while. It looks like that Bitcoin chart a week or so ago. And remember we said on election night we got that big bond market key reversal. So now all the risk off proxies are all ramping up here. Well, that can't be good for risk. And the irony of it all, of course, is the ultimate risk-off proxy is emming out here. What the hell? These should be exact opposite. I don't know. Maybe not. All right. So, you know, mixed bag coming into this crazy celestial event. Mixed messages all over the map. Did find it interesting to see the oil just couldn't hold on to that dead cat bounce that we saw there a week or so ago, eh? So we actually did slam down into 50% rules on things like deferred contracts. You know, no sense in crying over spilt milk. I was short here, said, let's hop off here. Turns out that was the right trade, but oh well, shit happens. Dead cat bounce off of the lows, doing some backfilling inside. Is that an inside bar? No, it isn't. So this could potentially be an empire Be one hell of an ugly one. But, if the gold is actually Wing out and getting ready to move higher here in earnest, then it would make sense that the oil has got to be weak. Remember, they can't both move up at the same time. So, gold, I think gold bugs can make a pretty good argument that they got a pretty good W. And this is also a harmonic pattern, so actually that's playing out per usual. And fascinating how we're just sort of sitting here parked asking, well, do we really want to bot out here, or do we need one more pull lower? Interesting to see how the bonds are actually down on the day here. Maybe gold can pause a little bit here and give me that third low. I've been watching a bunch of gold stocks, and one big gold stock in particular that caught my attention was Agnico Eagle. And I see that it's botting out here. So it looks like the gold stocks are in play. So, here's Bitcoin. That's its bot. And actually, I think its trade's over. Right? It hit fog and bombs, hits bot target levels. We've actually gone well beyond probably even alt ABCD kind of idea. Notice things like crypto stocks are actually down on the day. So I wouldn't be surprised. There's like huts coming off here. So I wouldn't be surprised that maybe crypto's got to cool its jets for a bit. But the gold stocks, Jesus, this gold sector looks like it's getting ready to do something. And of course, we've got, big, historical Jupiter-Saturn events on the 21st of December. I get a sneaky suspicion that's what the market's trying to run into here, especially with gold. It's a classic dinosaur kind of proxy. So it just makes sense if they're going to ramp these things into that event. I wouldn't even be surprised to see Bitcoin pretty strong into that event as well. So this is the big stock market proxy I'm watching right at the moment. Agnico Eagle, you can see the level railroad tracks. We were talking about that a few days ago. Even got a nice deep pullback there 2 days ago. And this is the kind of same thing as that Bitcoin bot trade. I mean, it's sitting there. If you trade bots, there it is. So do with it as you please. Somebody on the site asked me if I was going to talk gold stocks. So, that's a proxy for the gold space. If you wanted to play that move up top, that's something I might take a look at. I would imagine these calls are quite a bit higher now. We were looking at them off the railroad tracks there the other day. But I also noticed a lot of little juniors that we like to play as sort of a high leveraged, high octane proxy in this space. They often produce like staggering percentage returns relative to the big boys. This is a name I've been buying in earnest recently. Orestone Mining Corporation. I think I told you guys a while ago that I was buying some VCIM names. This is exactly an example of that. So, if the gold and the metals market start firming up, this guy's probably going to catch a nice bid. This was one that we were squawking about through the summer, got our doubles off, free positions. Now, if you missed the trade, it's another great example of VCIM, juniors cap. And you can see over the past month or two, there just hasn't been anything to do. But hey, there's some buyers stepping back in here. You want to start hunting W's, you know how the game goes. There's a few of them. They're sprinkled here and there. Just see if I can find any others that caught my attention. I still have you. Nope. Kind of like this one. This one's jumped out at me. Piece of crap. If you play the piece of crap junior mining stocks, that guy sure looks cheap. I think this is one I'm going to be trying to buy through this tax loss selling season, but they're taking it the wrong way, bastards. So nothing to do there. This is also another VCIM name that just came up. I'm also going to be watching him for dips down into the 10-cent area, so I kind of like him. Remember there was a couple other little junior miners that caught my attention this morning, but they're not jumping out at me right now. So Actually, if you're interested in the lithium space, Tesla announced a new contract to secure some more lithium supply. So that guy's got some interesting price action. So we gave you one senior miner. We gave you a couple little VCIM names. If you're interested in the uranium space, this guy looks like he's pretty washed down. But nothing really to get too excited about. So, there's cute little pharma names. Jeez, I love this one. Perfect. Love that. Look at that. So, like I said, to start off this broadcast, it's kind of like, are you trading the stock market or are you trading a market of stocks? And what I'm seeing is, if you're selective, if you can go and hunt your fundamental names and stuff, this MGI, I think that was another little junior miner that looks pretty good down here. Yeah, I'm interested. Pitch me your story. I might just buy your stock. Also noticed pot names, of course, big legislation down in the States, legalizing this stuff to another 100 million consumers. So along these kind of names, they're still just rocking and rolling. This was another one that broke out yesterday. We were watching it take off here. So those look good. Yeah, Interesting, the little warrants market seems to be perking up. Look at that little warrant. HJLIW. Jesus, look at that little guy. And then this one, actually, some TRIers got off a double yesterday on this funny little warrant. So, there's always a bull somewhere. So speaking of which, it's probably a good dovetail. Crypto tastes great. Obviously, Bitcoin enjoying a very nice pop up here recently. The only problem I have with the corn is maybe it's a little too far, too fast. Coming in, we always say Bitcoin can't finish a move without some sort of horrendous face rip. Well, there you go, folks. That's basically what I'm talking about. Where the top is here, I don't think anybody has any clue exactly where it is. The only problem is you just don't want to chase. If you go in and buy Bitcoins here, where do you have to risk to if this is the top? Well, key support right now in the short term is all the way down here. That's an awful lot of risk, my friends. If we continue face rip, we might do something like this. Notice the time of year. This is when Bitcoin likes to face rip, so probably going to put in some sort of top here, but I don't think that this is actually an accurate picture of where we are right now. I actually think that the market is more like right in here, and that this was the U.S. government auctioning Silk Road seized coins by U.S. Marshal Office back in November of 2015, I think it was. And I see this. This really looks more appropriate right now from price action. And let's call a spade. In that short period of time, Bitcoin went absolutely apeshit here on a very, very short period of time. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. So really, this is not really a big surprise. I think also, too, that a lot of this, Bitcoin's a fantastic fear proxy. Fuck gold. Gold's a waste of time. Just go buy your Bitcoins. This is now like a buy the rumor. The only problem is we haven't got the news yet. Where the hell's the goddamn news, right? All about this election. Was the U.S. going to break into civil war? Was this orange-haired toupee guy going to leave the White House politely? Maybe he was going to win. I don't know. But the point is we're still waiting for the verdict. And I think while we're still waiting for the verdict, I don't think it's a good idea to call a top here. I think you could probably make the argument, why did price stop here? Well, it stopped at a very predictable Gann angle. The only problem with this is most of the public, they don't understand any of this stuff, so it's not even worth trying to teach people. It's very complicated. But nonetheless, Gann angle, bang, stop. Also, we blasted through lots of chaos levels. So when we say chaos level, what are we talking about? What we're really talking about is the bullish resolution of this consolidation. This is not chaotic. This is very smooth. It's very orderly. But once we get up past these levels, then the trend, the sort of path of least resistance can become very chaotic. And that's exactly what this is. This is chaotic. Nobody really knows who's driving the bus right here. So I'm not necessarily saying this is a sell, but if this was the top, I don't think anybody should be surprised. And probably if, I doubt it. It was a bat's chance in hell. Or what is it? A snowball's chance in hell. Mr. Trump actually comes out and says, I concede. I'll leave the White House politely at the end of December here. Welcome our new president. Then I think this thing probably falls like a rock. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. So if that's the case, and we get some more insanity injected into this, where's our next stop? And I think, our 4-to-1 angle off of the original top back in 2017, way back here, that 4-to-1 angle actually worked fairly well as a resistance point when we were working our way higher. Right? That's what this angle was, right along there. And I think you can see, we talked about this over many sessions. I drew the green box. That acted as a pretty darn good resistance level initially. And then, on the other side of it, then it starts acting as support. That's pretty normal. So, I guess what I'm trying to say here is my hunch is we're probably going to see something along the lines against that 8-to-1 angle, which is right up there. So that's still sitting a few $1,000. I do like the idea of us sort of grinding our way higher here. Let's get, all the public to come in on FOMO rallies up top. Maybe start painting divergence in the momentum and volume indicators. I did notice, for example, that for the first time in a long while, we haven't seen this in a bit. Gotta find the screen though. We're actually starting to get volume divergences here. So you notice that this push higher here, that was on 31,000 coins. This is over on Coinbase. And this push higher here was 32,000 Bitcoins. And that was that move. So already we're starting to get volume divergences on these moves higher. And then you can see on the MACD histogram, we're starting, it's not in yet, but we're starting to get sort of, this is a lower high than these highs. We already see that Willie is stupidly overbought. Remember, here was our buy signal way back on October 8th. That was over here. So hopefully you can see it wouldn't be the wisest idea to come and FOMO chase this. That's why I built the Willie indicator. You were supposed to be a buyer over here. Now we're over here. I'm not saying this is a top. I don't think it's in anybody's interest to call tops. But Willie is definitely overbought. And what I would consider stupid. My retail phone, as a retail stockbroker, would be ringing off the hook. Get me long. Buy it. I don't care. I don't care. Liquidate the government bonds. Sell my firstborn son. I want in. I've heard it before. Trust me. It wouldn't be the first time. Interestingly enough, while everybody's going apeshit over Bitcoin, I actually might argue that the DeFi space is now finally actually worth taking a serious look at. Why? Because nobody's interested in it anymore. And we have the same conversation about what we're seeing in Bitcoin. We're having the same conversation about DeFi back here. I kept telling people, look, if you're going to buy this DeFi, just keep dragging your reload zones up. And when the market finally gets into reload zones, then you can start getting interested. So, ironically enough, nobody's interested in this shit now. Actually, it's kind of cool. I think we have enough educated participants on the site and in the Twitter feed and social media. People were actually, hey, Brian, check out this DeFi name. Check out that DeFi name. So you guys are getting the message, and I really like that. But we spent a lot of time today just going through. There's a bunch of names that look really cool. Remember this stake I was squawking about the other day? I don't know whether I was telling the public or not. Chico Crypto kind of likes this name. Don't chase. Now we're in reload zones. All right, well, let's start accumulating. Not a bad idea. You want to wait for the divergences and the W's to sort of relieve your anxiety of the purchase process? That's a smart idea. Nothing wrong with that. There's some fun little names. Our CTO, Sjord, who's pretty damn smart guy. He came to us here at TRI to learn how to trade. He already knew about technology, and he's like, I love this name. And so now this is basically everything that we do at TRI. Don't chase. Wait for the reload zones. Hello. That to me looks like one hell of a W. And what's actually cool about this one is it's Wing not only... actually, I guess I don't have it on the screen. But it's not only Wing versus Bitcoin, but it's also Wing versus USD. So there are some very, very interesting stories out there now. Pay attention, folks. I thought this was hilarious. This is one of these ones that were just coming in. I don't know what the fuck's going on here, but I just said, you tell me, has this thing got any chance of performing if it gets its act together? So, you see the chart here, and so we got a bunch of TRIers came piling in on this crazy-ass tail when that happened. And I was like, okay, well, I'll join you. What the hell? It's a pretty good idea. And actually, we even heard some TRIers are banging off doubles this morning in this thing. Go figure. I still need a stab up into the sort of mid-fives to get my double off. I'm not really in any hurry. I couldn't care how long this takes. But I think you're pretty well served just to come in and just accumulate on these things down here. And then you get these crazy days where this shit just pops out of nowhere. So, it's more further anecdote. Probably also, too, this is a good conversation about this. These dominants can only go so far, and then the whole damn pendulum has to swing back. Oh, what the hell have I done now? So we've been following this dominance indicator and following the channel that it's been in. We got up through the top here. We're hitting foggy levels. And kind of at this point, you should be going, okay, this has maybe gone a little too far too fast. And sure enough, now we're coming down. Remember what I said recently? For us to actually believe that the bottom is in altcoins, we probably want to see this thing go an M out. This is going to take some time. But it's anecdotal evidence that, okay, maybe Bitcoin's gone a little too far too fast. Also saw things like Ethereum starting to perk up against the top end of his reloads. I remember I'd said recently I was going to be watching how she acts. If we go an inside bar here and then start crapping out, okay, I could go buy some puts. But for now, I'm just going to let this thing breathe. Through the weekend, we might pop up through the top. You can see foggy levels are sitting up there going, hey, I want some attention. So, if anything, I kind of like that message that maybe this just went a little too far too fast. That's what I'm thinking right now. So, all right, I think I'll leave the rant at that. Gave you a couple ideas to chew on. It's a fascinating time to be involved in the market, that's for sure. And I'll tell you, I really like the idea that we're setting up the base. If you want to make a shitload of money, being a capitalist over the next 4 or 5 years, now is actually when you have to start going in and establishing serious positions in this stuff. So the ball's in your court. Ironically enough, selling when they're yelling. They're kind of crying right now in DeFi. Maybe it's time to start stepping up and doing a little bit of buying. So. All right, everybody. I think I'll leave the rant at that for today. Sure hope you got some value out of all that. We'll look forward to broiler chickens conversations on the weekend. All the best. And the only thing left for good old Brian to say at this point is a big bye for now.